In the heart of the city's bustling commercial district stands a towering business building with numerous offices and enterprises. During the day, the building hums with people's busyness and vitality, but as night falls, it becomes silent and eerie, with only a few night shift workers traversing its corridors. Bob is the night security guard of this commercial building, responsible for patrolling its every corner in the dead of night to ensure its security. He is a taciturn man, focused on his work, never letting outside disturbances disturb his inner peace. On a cold winter night, as Bob strolls through the building's corridors, he senses a strange pressure, as if something is watching him from the shadows, unsettling him. Despite having worked night shifts numerous times, tonight's atmosphere feels particularly eerie, as if something is hidden in the darkness, waiting for him. As Bob reaches the lobby of the building's first floor, he suddenly feels an abnormal presence, as if something is lurking in the shadows. He stops in his tracks, listening carefully, but besides the sound of his own heartbeat and the distant noise of the streets, he hears nothing. Bob shines his flashlight into the corner of the lobby but finds nothing. He feels a sense of uneasy, but he tells himself it's just a figment of his imagination and continues onward. As he reaches the building's second floor, he suddenly hears a faint sound, as if someone is calling for help. Bob stops in his tracks, listening to the source of the sound, which seems to be coming from an office. He opens the door to the office and finds it empty, but his intuition tells him that this office is unusual. He carefully checks every corner but still finds nothing. Just as he's about to leave, his hand touches something cold. He looks up and finds a photograph lying on the ground. The photograph depicts a happy family, but he notices a line of words written on the back. "Help me." Bob feels a sense of foreboding. He doesn't know how this photograph ended up in the office or what it signifies. He pockets the photograph, deciding to report this incident to his superiors. However, as he turns to leave the office, he senses a shadow flicker by, a chill running down his spine. He quickly turns around, but sees nothing but the empty corridor and the distant darkness. Bob feels an invisible force enveloping the building. He knows this incident will become one of the most unforgettable moments of his night shift career. As he continues to patrol the building, his mind is filled with questions and unease, curious yet fearful of the truth behind this mysterious event.
I am an equipment engineer in a technology factory. Although the job of an engineer is to believe in science and data, I also believe in gods and ghosts and respect them. This story happened during my night shift. The company I work for hired a large number of Vietnamese workers as operators to reduce labor costs. This incident is related to the Vietnamese workers. Chio is a Vietnamese worker who has been working in this company for over a year. She has a local boyfriend named Lou. Because there are many Vietnamese female workers in the company, they naturally form groups, and Chao is one of them. They all know that Chio is dating Lou, and they often talk about them. One day, Chao and Chio had a loud argument on the production line. Since they were arguing in Vietnamese, no one else knew what they were arguing about. But they remembered that after the argument, Chio cried and shouted at Lou before leaving the company early. Everyone was confused at the time. I asked Lou what happened, and he said Chio accused him of being unfaithful and seeing other girlfriends. I asked Lou if this was true, and he replied, "It's absurd, baseless accusations." Of course, I believed Lou, but I still advised him to go talk to Chio after work and clear up the misunderstanding. After work, Lou went to Chio's rental place to explain, but no one answered the doorbell or responded to knocking. At that time, Lou thought Chio was still angry, so he went back. When Chio didn't show up for work that night, and no one could reach her by phone, everyone thought she was still angry and didn't worry. After 3 consecutive days of absence and no contact, Chio was fired by the company. Everyone found it strange and tried to contact her, but no one could reach her. Lou went to Chio's rental place for 2 consecutive days, but no one answered the door, and he began to feel anxious. On the 5th night of work, a Thai Chinese colleague named Ru who had the ability to see spirits, suddenly became very nervous and told everyone Chio is in trouble at her place. We need to find her quickly. Everyone was skeptical but still called the police. With the police, they entered Chio's room and found that she had left this world, with the windows closed and a large pot of burnt charcoal on the floor. Lu was speechless and devastated. From the suicide note, it was known that Chio couldn't bear the emotional setback and made this decision. Lu firmly denied the rumors of infidelity and wanted to find out the source of the rumors but never succeeded. So, how did Ru know that Chio had passed away and that she was in her room? Was Ru a suspect? Of course not. She had enough alibis and was completely innocent. She later told me that she was nervous and shouted because I saw Chio sitting in front of the equipment she usually operates that day. She didn't speak, but I received her thoughts, so I was sure something had happened to her. I believe in science, but I also respect the existence of gods and ghosts. Cherish life, for living is hope.
I'm an engineer, working day in and day out in a technology factory. While science and data are my tools, I have never disregarded the respect for spirits and supernatural forces. This story happened during my night shift. My colleague Leo and I were conducting our routine production line inspection. Our area of responsibility spanned 2 separate sections of the factory, requiring us to move through either elevators or stairs. On that late night, around 1 a.m., we were about to take the elevator, with nothing unusual as usual. However, as I pressed the door close button, the elevator door began to repeatedly open and close. Every time I pressed the close button, the door shut only to immediately reopen. Leo and I exchanged surprised looks, deciding to wipe the sensors and try again, but the result remained the same. At that moment, I looked up, gazing at the gap between the elevator and the floor. To my astonishment, a pair of eyes were staring back at me. My heart started racing, but I knew I couldn't let Leo panic. I calmly suggested, "Leo, let's catch the next one." We stepped out of the elevator, and the door closed behind us, continuing its ascent, everything returning to normal. It was late at night, and it was unlikely that anyone was conducting elevator maintenance. Suddenly, I felt like I might have encountered something supernatural. The next day, I sought the help of my colleague Ru, who had the ability to see spirits, hoping she could provide some answers. After hearing the story, Ru calmly explained that what we experienced in the elevator, the phenomenon of the door reopening immediately after closing, was likely due to the elevator being overloaded with entities. In other words, the elevator wasn't just occupied by Leo and me, there were unseen passengers. Furthermore, Ru pointed out that the eyes I saw in the gap between the elevator and the floor belonged to a young girl who had been in the factory area for a long time. This girl posed no threat. She was merely curious, observing our actions with the elevator. She lingered outside the elevator, watching us, perhaps finding our peculiar behavior amusing. Having understood all of this, I felt reassured. If I ever encounter a similar situation in the future, I know what to do. I will respect them and choose to wait for the next elevator.